Tomior going back to Benyat. Bending one out to Franjic. Chance in the middle. What a goal from Macarthur FC. Derbyshire has number 9 this season.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of Bull Banter, the podcast where two brothers from the Southwest talk about the Macarthur Bulls, A-League, and all things football. You're joined by myself, Blake Sims, and accompanying me today on the podcast is none other than my brother Daniel. How are you, mate?
Rough morning with Liverpool playing like absolute dog shit, but let's talk about the Bulls. We can forget them.
Yeah, why not? I mean, pretty ordinary getting up that early just to see them get walloped by, one of the better clubs in the world, Real Madrid. Not much you can do there. But as you said, the Bulls, plenty to smile about there. And, you have to say against Perth, we did it easy. It looked really comfortable. I felt really comfortable. It was the most comfortable I've felt in Campbelltown Stadium since we started playing there. From the off, we were just the better side, the hungrier side. And really, across the first half, you should have expected more than 2 goals. But we were up 2-0 at the half. What did you see from the start, Dan?
Yeah, definitely the most comfortable we've been at Campbelltown Stadium with nice sunny weather, no torrential rain this week. But yeah, it just felt like we were never under pressure. And it just felt like a training session for them. Like, that's what it looked like. We were just running rings around them.
Yeah, it was very easy on the eye, that one-touch football. I think Milicic has really nailed it with his tactical change of having the 3 at the back, moving into a 5 at the back when we need it, but having that 5 in midfield just mitigates any, attacking play that can go through our midfield, which was looking really shaky earlier in the season. You remember back when we were playing, that 4-4-3, and it was just looking a bit all over the place. We were able to easily be bypassed whenever we were pushing up, playing in possession and trying to, whip across in. And as soon as it fell apart, it was just a race pretty much from the other side on that counter attack. And so we look a lot more solid, and even the combinations are sticking, the passes are sticking. The Bulls are looking a lot more calm in possession. And, not only that, they're making more dangerous runs and dangerous opportunities to be able to finish off.
Yeah, I think the formation really helps us get more players around the ball. So it's obviously going to help us in attack and in defense. We can sort of, if we do turn it over, we can shut them down quickly with 2 or 3 just surrounding their players. And then again, having the 3 at the back and sort of more options on the flanks, we can move the ball a bit more. Feels like we have that extra man. So definitely from the off, like, you could tell, like, we're here to play, even though we weren't the first, 5 minutes. Like, we just looked calm. We weren't trying to go 100 mile an hour from the start. It's a 90-minute game. And then we did end up getting rewarded with a goal from none other than Matt Derbyshire. Do you want to talk through that one a little bit, Blake?
Yeah, well, it was an interesting one. I mean, like you said, with that 5 in the midfield, we've got a lot more options. So it forces the opposition defense into a bit of a decision, because they either go, I mark the person on the outside so we can't have easy access down the wings, which is what we want, so we can swing those balls in. And that was the decision that Perth Glory made. The ball was played out to Tomior, and a defender came and closed him down, but that left Benyat free in the midfield, and that's not what you want if you're a defending side. Ball was played out to him, and then he looked up, got his head up, and found Franjic on the far touchline with a nice floated through ball. When I watched it, I was thinking, he's probably got a bit too much on that, but Franjic made it there, and he got his head to it and put it back into a dangerous area, and it looked like, that ball, when it floated across the 6-yard box, looked like it was there for a full minute. Perth Glory defensively fell asleep, and Derbyshire, being the poacher that he is, was in the right place at the right time to tuck it home.
Difficult finish. He puts it in off the crossbar, still sticking a leg out. Classic Derbyshire finish. But yeah, as you said, Bernat was just able the whole game. He had almost free reign just to ping balls left and right wherever he wanted. So he I think Bernat probably had one of his best games as well. Even just because he was allowed that much time. And if you're not going to shut him down, then he's just going to tear you apart. And we saw that with the first goal with the ball to Franich. So.
Yeah, I'm noticing that not only does he look fitter and more active, he's more talkative in the play. He's actually sort of getting used to, being the midfield leader that we need him to be. Obviously, Milligan was that for us early in the season, but he's dropped to centre back. And I think him being there as well really anchors our defence well. He's a good organiser of men, and he's pretty tidy on the ball too. Like it can pull a long range pass off, no problem. And so with that extra space that Banyat's afforded in midfield, he doesn't have to drop back so much to receive the ball from the centre backs to get the space because, in theory, like no other team's really playing with 5 across the midfield. So he can always pop up in a free position if the others are occupied. And even when they are occupied, you saw the likes of Puyo and Jonro like dropping off, like going deep and then dropping back, like making their defenders run around and chase them all day. And when the ball was coming into them, it wasn't like they were ponderous. It wasn't like earlier in the season where they're going, okay, I've got the ball. Where's it going next? They knew straight away it's a rebound ball to bounce pass straight back off them to either Tommy Orr or Franich or even back to where they were going, and they could reset and go other places. It was really lovely to see. It's one of those things that you don't get until you've played quite a while with your teammates, that idea of, I know where he's going to be before I even receive the ball. And when you have that, you can start to really string some excellent play together. And it's what we saw on the weekend. It was comfortable viewing for sure.
Yeah. And, I think having the formation, we've seen it in the last 3 games. We're getting a lot more opportunities on counterattacks as well. With our centre backs being able to sort of step up and overcommit at times and risk, putting in that 50-50 challenge rather than just backing off. We're able to just turn it around, and we have numbers going forward. And that's what led to the second goal where Societa got put down in the box there. But yeah, even in the Wellington game, we had, Tommy Orr just running at him, and it's very refreshing compared to how stagnant we were in the 4-3-3 earlier in the season.
We're far less static. And you know what? Because we have that solidity in the midfield, we feel like we can actually go on a counter attack without getting countered ourselves if it doesn't work out. So that Societa penalty kick was won because, okay, we get Benyat on the ball at halfway. It's a bit of a break. Everyone's pushing up. Derbyshire's making a run. Societa on the ball. He knows he can drive into the box without having to worry about, oh shit, if I lose this, I've got to track back, because he's got more of a free role as well. You'll notice that he floats around a bit more. He does not having to stay on the wing so much. And I think that's really good for him.
Yeah. The old formation was definitely too rigid for how we want to play. And
it's more exciting, us having that ability to go forward when we want to and feel free in our ability to play. Like Societa, even though he'll do the job you need him to do, he's a much better player when he's able to have that attacking freedom that he wants. And it paid dividends for us. You saw he stormed into the box and Lenkamp fouled him. There was a bit of consternation around the call saying that, Societa was looking for it. And even if he was, I don't know, you play it at full speed and it looks like he's been brought down. You slow it down and then you realize Lenkamp's trying to pull his foot away, but even still contact was made enough for him to go down. I don't think he's diving, and I don't think, he's lost the ball and he's just gone, oh crap, I better fall on the floor. Either way, I think it's a goal for Macarthur. It's just come through Matt Derbyshire, and that bumps him up to second in the table now for the Golden Boot race, just behind Jamie McLaren.
How many is he on now?
He scored 10, and McLaren just etched another one against the Phoenix the other day, so he's on 13. So not he's catchable, but he's going to be very hard to pin down. Yeah. He's scoring almost every game.
Well, I mean, considering that whenever we score, it's from Derbyshire, it bodes well for him to catch him. So,
yeah, we just need to keep playing well, and I'm sure Matt Derbyshire can become Hat Derbyshire once again.
Yeah, and I suppose we should talk about Perth a little bit, but it just felt like the only chances that they created were after an offside call.
Yeah.
Like, and Federici was still making brilliant one-on-one saves, but then they just were offside anyway. And there was a little moment after, I think, the second or third time, there was a late offside call, which is what they have to do in the VAR era. Federici sort of threw his hands up and said, like, I could have saved my energy rather than go on.
You got to keep him interested, though, because honestly, like, Perth were not even entering our penalty box most of the time. I put that down to the fact that we do have 5 in the midfield. You know, apart from Diego Castro, who's a little magician on his day. I don't think he had the best day in the office, but apart from him, you had a lot of youngsters around there. You had Neil Kilkenny, who doesn't get forward. He played sort of the same role that Milligan played for us earlier in the season, where he's that anchor man and he's ordering things around, but he's not making those forward runs. And his forward balls were just pretty much gobbled up by Suzniar, Jovanovic, and Milligan. You look at Bruno Fornaroli, he was absolutely pocketed. No matter where he popped up, Suzniar and Jovanovic just monstered him. And when he did want to run in behind, Milligan got the boys organised enough to step up and play that offside trap effectively every single time. And even when he got through, even if it was offside, Federici was more than, equal to the task of keeping the clean sheet.
Yeah. And, we did end the game with 55% possession, which, it felt like we had 70 the way we were playing. But I think a lot of their possession must have come in the second half, because sort of 15 minutes into the second half, I think we did let them into the game a little bit. We sort of backed off and then they were able to sort of string things together with Geria down the right flank there. But still, they just couldn't convert anything into clear chances, really.
Yeah. Carlo Armiento, when he came on, looked, he had a bit of energy about him, but really you could only see anything that was going to hurt us coming through. Geria, he had that one chance in the first half, I think, where he put a ball through for Castro, and it was very lucky that, he didn't get on the end of it. But apart from that, everything was hunky-dory for the Bulls. Tommy Orr shut him down, and Tommy's, surprised me. He's not that kind of marquee that you look at and go, wow, like he's going to light the league up, but he's been very excellent at the job he's been given, which is get up and down the pitch and deliver those crosses. And when he's had to, he's defended quite admirably as well. You don't think of him as a defender, but he can do a job for you. It's really good to see, really positive signs from that game. What are we to take away from that performance, Dan?
Well, I think it'll give us a big boost to know that we can play that way and can sort of dominate a game for almost 90 minutes and, control the tempo. We did it from the outset. And, Perth, they could have had an off day, but they can hurt any team in the league. And we've kept a clean sheet. We've sort of controlled the tempo for the full 90. And I think if we can do it against them, then there's no reason why we can't do it against every other side in the comp.
Yeah, it puts us in an interesting position now too. We were up temporarily at second spot before Melbourne City got the win over the Phoenix. But Central Coast Mariners have dropped points against Western Sydney Wanderers last night. So it puts us in an interesting position. If we win against Brisbane Roar, which, let's be real, we should, given this form. And if we're staying consistent, we should expect a W on Friday. But if we can do that, it's the sky's the limit for the Bulls. And we seem to be clicking sort of at that business end of the season as we're rolling into the last, handful of games.
Yeah, we've done well to bounce back from those two tough fixtures against Mariners and City, which are the top two teams in the league. But, considering that first half destruction against City, we've done really well to win 3 on the trot, I think. And, it speaks volumes of how well Milicic has done with the boys, I think.
Yeah, I think they learned a lot from that loss, and they went back to the drawing board a bit, and it seems to have, really worked out for us, this tactical switch. It's letting the players play their game more often than having to just fill in a role. It's really good to see. And you know what? One thing you would have missed maybe if you were at the match is the post-match press conference with Ante Milicic. He had a lot to say about the win.
Good evening.
Ante, good to have you with us. What did you think of today's match?
Well, first off, we did it easy. It was the most comfortable I've felt, with the boys out there on the pitch. And let's just say from the off, always get the performance right first and foremost. Let's execute it. Today we had the same starting 11 as last week, third game in a row. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think the understanding was very clear for everyone to see. Delighted with the way we played, which then gives you the confidence getting 3 points. But we made some minor adjustments during the week. The boys worked hard and it really paid the dividend.
Yeah, you said about the adjustments. What were they?
Well, it's the little things you see on the pitch, that make a big difference. It's the little things you do during the week. As I said, we had a lot of players out, missed a lot of football with COVID, and people who haven't quite played the A-League level before, like Lockie and Charles. Just one thing during the week we froze Mark Milligan cryogenically for a few days so that he could play a full 90 minutes. And we also sent a couple of the boys up to the trendy haircuts at Macarthur Square to get a nice trim. If you didn't notice, Benat had no bid this week, and we're making the most of the facilities midweek. We had Benat and Golek in the wind tunnels before their haircut and after, and the results came back. They had about an extra 5 kilometers per hour on them, and I think it showed at the weekend. You saw how aerodynamic they were. Golek mainly in his warm-ups, Benat a bit more on the pitch. But I think we've turned a new leaf in that regard. Out with the old, in with the new. The boys are looking fresh. That's it.
Yeah, so that win, Ante, takes you to outright second on the ladder now. Do you look at this as a positive sign?
No, you know what I look at? We want to be competitive. We've won more games than we've lost, and we just focus on what we can do to make ourselves better. For example, Lockie Rose has been taking Loic Puyo to the beach before games because he gets a bit anxious sometimes, and we've seen more assured performances from him. We put Golek on the bench, not because of his ability. He's obviously quality enough to get into the side, but because of his meme potential with the fans. He's always having good banter on the sideline with the bullpen. We can see that. Just grows that community. It's about the things you do off the pitch. And it gives a good togetherness for the team. And with the group of players I have, we don't have to worry about where we want to finish. Every club will have ambitions to finish top 6, but we just look forward to the next game.
Thank you, Ante, for joining us.
Thank you.
Interesting stuff. Good to hear from Ante there. And we'll press on.
And if you're listening audio only, you might want to check out the video for that segment there. Milicic is looking very young these days, I think.
Yeah. Our next segment, we've got to check in with our young Bulls, the Northbridge Bulls. They destroyed Sydney United 58. Daniel, your old club. What do you have to say about this one?
Yeah, my old club who I played 3 games for.
Due to nepotism.
Yeah, it's good to see them lose. But yeah, I was watching the highlights and, obviously the final score was 5-1. But I look up, Northbridge Bulls are up 5-0 already, and it's only half an hour into the game. So I guess we've been unlucky in those games against like Sutherland Sharks, etc., to drop points in extra time, 90th minute, and this will definitely do wonders for the entire squad. Just destroying a team like this.
Yeah, it gives you that confidence, doesn't it? Well, they did build off of last week's victory against Wollongong Wolves. They played before the Bulls won against Wellington Phoenix at Wynn Stadium. It was a 1-0 win. Moody Najjar with a late header off I think it was a Charles and Barber cross in the late 90th minute. So that sort of righted the wrongs of the previous games where they really did let themselves down with some late defensive errors. But going through it, Michael Roos, who previously played for Sydney United, and you got to remember he's only 18 years of age still. He scored 2 against his former club, celebrated neither, put his hands up as soon as he scored, and just let the boys rush around him. Good bit of respect from the lad. But you'd hope when he scores 1 in Campbelltown Stadium, he just goes absolutely off. He runs over and jumps into the crowd. They weren't bangers, but he had to be there, and he slotted them away. He did his job.
Honestly, I think if someone ran and jumped into the bullpen, the security would kick him out.
Yeah, and no more playing. You're out of here, banned. But yeah, it was a comprehensive performance, at least in the first half from the young Bulls. They just dominated them. Every single highlight was in some way destroying Sydney United. Going forward, absolutely dangerous, just destruction in the box, like 6 or 7 defenders go like not doing their job. They're at 6s and 7s, and it made it pretty easy. Moody Najjar with some excellent work as well, helping set up a couple of those ones. Rory Jordan ghosting past 3 and just looking extremely dangerous. Liam Rose was able to set up Holman for his first of 2, and it was an absolute banger. It was Lachlan Sepping-esque. 25 yards, curls it in, surprised everyone. And, Jake Holman, no big celebration, just puts his hands in the air and lets the boys come around. High fives all around. And, he's a real talent. His second one, he scored from the spot, similar distance, and put it on the other side of the goal, had the keeper beat all ends up. What else do you see from this one?
Yeah, seeing a lot of the, fringe starters for the Macarthur Bulls team getting on the score sheet, maybe it speaks to the different sort of level that these fringe or A-League players have in an NPL sort of setup. But, they've done what they're there to do. And I thought Nick Schumann had a really good game as well. He made some fantastic saves, albeit the penalty, not much you can do about that. But
that's the thing. You think about a 5-1 and you think, okay, they've just destroyed this team, and then they've got a lucky, goal at the other end maybe. But at least judging from the highlights, like apart from the first sort of 35 minutes, there was actually a lot of attacking play from Sydney United, which surprised me. So, Suman actually did his job and kept out quite a few decent opportunities for scoring. that double save on the 60th minute mark is ridiculous. Like, takes the huge deflection off a volley, and he touches it onto the bar, and then he's up quickly to parry it away again off a shot. Young Federici. He's got a bit about him. But, keepers are weird, and he did a few weird things. Like, he dived after a shot had clearly gone out. And there was a time, I think he was a bit confident. I think he was conscious of the scoreline being 5-0, and he did a bit of, mucking around with it at the back when the ball was at his feet. He tried to, dupe him and do a big turn, and it nearly made him look really foolish. He's lucky that the ball went out after the tackle for a goal kick. But, yeah, he can save him. He's a massive lad, bit of a beanpole. And I think he'll do well when he comes in if Federici's injured, or, Federici's sort of getting towards the end of his career. So he's a one to look out for, that young keeper, Nick Suman.
Yeah, and hopefully we see more of this. Love seeing everyone get on the score sheet. So
yeah,
a lot more fun to talk about compared to the dropping points in the 90th minute.
Very true. And you know what? If we can just use the Northbridge Bulls as a breeding ground, or a paddock for our young talent to just get some confidence before they come into the A-League side, then, that's what they're there for. And it's good to see too some of the NPL 1 players who haven't signed a professional contract or a scholarship contract for the Bulls also contributing. Lachlan Sepping and Rory Jordan are really standing out. Tep at the back, and Bull Jork, when he comes on, looks dangerous as ever. So the future's bright, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, obviously it'd be hard for Sepping to break into that current Bulls midfield, but if they can sign him and give him a go, I'd love to see him in action.
Well, they're all so young. Like, he's only 19, 20 years old. Like, they're all super young. They've got a massive future in the game. And so, especially if they can start getting the results without the A-League contingent, that'll be really promising for the future.
Yeah. And, with Australian youngsters, we'd like to see more of them be successful here rather than going overseas. Obviously, the rumors of Alu Kuol going to Germany when he's only started 5 games this season.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying he's going too early, and we've seen it in the past with the likes of Abini, for example, sort of just wasting a couple of years overseas. If the A-League can become more of a breeding ground for these top talents and they take their time here, they'll just elevate the league that much more, I reckon.
Yeah, you either need to go over as like a 16, 17-year-old and get ingrained into the academy system, kind of like Jacob Italiano has, or you need to wait till you're that like early to mid-20s player that can go over to a league and make a difference straight up as a first-team player.
Yeah, I don't Arzani is another example as well.
Exactly. I was just about to bring him up,
Is in loan hell. He's just being loaned to club and club.
Yep, and none of them have liked him. Unfortunate for him to do his ACL on debut in Celtic, but, it's one of those things that you see them all the time. They get to about 20 or 21 after having a decent season or half season in the A-League, and they end up bouncing back or having a couple years, as you said, wasted overseas in, a third tier competition or playing with the youth team when they should be playing against men. And I think if you think back all the way to the old NSL, that was really the breeding ground for a lot of our Australian talent during the golden generation, because those clubs had to breed those younger players in order to keep themselves afloat. It made a big difference for us in, international games. And I think I'd like to see a lot more Australian talent stay on until their mid-20s. I know some people might say, oh, well, that's too late to be going over to Europe, but like you can still make a lot of money. And, you see the likes of like Sluzhnia, right? He went over really early, had a go of it. It either hasn't worked out or he hasn't been getting game time, and he's come here and, he could be a really massive player, like a club icon over the next few years. He's only 24. And you can see him holding down that centre back role for the next 4 or 5 years if he wants it.
100%.
Yeah. And it's just, and if you have those sort of players coming here, staying, making themselves iconic in a club, that's how you build Australian football. You get more people interested in the league. It's not like you go, oh, this kid's having a really good season and he's never going to be here again, because that doesn't ingratiate the loyalty that you need in a proper professional league. But
I think over the next 5 to 10 years, there's bound to be a lot of change in the A-League. So it could be a bit of a golden generation incoming over the next decade. Also, if we can, because obviously you can't compete with overseas clubs when they have money to splash. Whereas we've got the salary cap here and, all the different sort of player restrictions with like overseas marquee signings and stuff.
Yeah, I think we're going in the right direction in terms of a lot of teams now have an academy set up, which is really great to see. And we're getting ours sorted out as we go. But the league needs that, because signing, as much as we love Benyat and other, Diamante springs to mind as well. You can't be signing European players into their late 30s and, expecting crowds to come out unless they're the diehard sort of soccer supporters, the world game followers.
Unless it's someone like do you reckon if Zlatan turns 45, he'll get out here? There's
a certain tier. Like if you sign up Fernando Torres or Zlatan Ibrahimovic, someone who's like world renowned, sure. But Benyat and Susayeta, they're amazing, and we love them being here. But they're not going to draw a casual supporter out, just a casual sports viewer out. Yeah. And you see it even on the weekends at Campbelltown Stadium when Lockie Rose comes on, because the crowd knows, oh, he's a local, he's a junior. They want to see him succeed. They get behind him, and he puts in his best efforts. Whereas a 30-year-old Spaniard, as much as he's doing a great job for us, the crowd isn't necessarily behind him in the same way. And so it just goes to show, if we get those youngsters coming through, products of certain clubs, and you feel that sort of connection to them because they go, oh, he's one of us, it's what we need to do. All right. Next up, we're going to preview our opposition this Friday at Campbelltown Stadium. We face the Brisbane Roar. And, it has to be said, they've really fallen off since the last time we played them. We beat them 2-0 up at Redcliffe earlier in the season. It seems like a world away now. And they were near top of the table at the time. But on the weekend, they played against the Western Sydney Wanderers. It ended up in a 1-1 draw, and it was really quite a dire game. Neither side really getting going, but Brisbane themselves, they should have been on the end of a 2 or 3-0 scoreline early on because they came out like they were still half asleep. You look at around their squad, they haven't got too many who can change a game. There's maybe Riku Danzaki or Joey Champness who've got that bit of flair, bit of brilliance about them, but Brisbane are nothing special, and we should look to have these guys on Friday covered.
Yeah, Champness obviously just balled out against Wanderers, but then still they were unlucky not to probably, beat the Western Sydney in the end. But yeah, definitely those two on the wings there. We have to watch out for those two. It's a similar story to Diamante and Guaxjena. They play that 3 at the back or 5 at the back formation again, and with those two having free reign, we shut down De Vea, we shut down Western United. I think by all means, it should be an instant win for us, at least like 3-0. Just the way we're playing.
Yeah, and my thing is, I think we'll maybe struggle to get heaps of goals because Brisbane can defend quite well, especially crosses in the air. Tom Aldred and Macaulay Gillespie, centre backs, there just eat everything in the air for breakfast. But I don't see Brisbane threatening us going forward. Obviously, Scott McDonald has a bit in his locker. Dylan Wenzel-Halls can be dangerous on his day, but he's been inconsistent of late. Danzaki's quick and technical and good, but I think we can deal with him. Joey Champness, people were singing his praises after that match, but really he only had 2 moments where he just did a messy run, went the length of the pitch, and it led to one of the goals. But apart from that, he was kind of, fading in and out of the game. And so I think he's not got the consistency. We just got to be careful of when he does decide to put his head down and dribble, that we've just got enough bodies around the ball and we can, deal with him, because he is dangerous, yes, but I don't think he'll threaten us in the same way that he did against Western Sydney.
Yeah, we haven't been too exposed on a counter-attack in a while, I'd say. Like, we haven't conceded glaring counter-attacks where we're outnumbered like 4-2 or, 5-3 or something.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be right in sort of fending him off if he can start running at us.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if he does, right, he beats 2 or 3 in the midfield, whatever, I just see Milligan coming out of the defensive line and just two-footing him. Yeah. Teach him how to dribble.
They've been a little bit stagnant in their recent games as well. Like, there's only, as you said, they're defensively sound, sort of. But there's only been sort of 1 goal in between each of their last 4 games, I think. A couple 1-1 draws, a 1-0 loss here or there. So by all means, could be a bit of a snooze fest. And, if they just let us dictate the game like we did last time out against them in Redcliffe, and should be ours for the taking. But just comes down to whether or not we can create those goal scoring opportunities. We've been fortunate enough to get on the end of some, hopeful crosses, and a couple good ones from, Franjic cutting back in on his left side has created a few goals this season for us. Just got to make sure that we're being consistent with it and not wasting our chances, I think.
Yeah, I've just had a quick look. Brisbane have gone 8 on the trot without winning. So anything but a win for us should really be not good enough. With where we are on the table and where we want to be, and how important the match is, like, we have to look at the victory, the 3 points as the only option. Because, Brisbane are languishing at the moment. They're competitive, yes. They make you work for it, yes. But we should have the better of them, no problem. What are your predictions for the game, Dan?
Yeah, I was originally going to say a 3-0, but I think you convinced me. Just seeing the last few results have been quite dire games by the looks of it. So I'm just going to say probably a 1-0 for us.
Yeah, they can drive a game into, really slow momentum. But I think we'll be too good for them. I'm calling it. We're going to put 3 on them.
3. How many is Derbyshire going to get this week?
I think we're going to see a return of Hat Derbyshire.
Oh.
He's going to get on the end of a Tommy Orr cross, a Frenich cross, and a Puyo through ball.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's just like it's going to pop up again this weekend.
Yeah, he's been too quiet for too long. Yeah. 90 minutes without a goal. He's out of form.
But yeah, it should be a good game. Obviously, 7 o'clock, Campbelltown Stadium. Make sure you get all your friends down there. Pack out the stands.
Should be a big crowd.
Yeah.
With the way we're playing lately.
Hopefully bigger than last week. Last week was a little disappointing. It was a perfect day and we only poured in 3.7 to the crowd. So
yeah, crowds have been down across the league. Even like Melbourne Victory in Sydney only got about five grand there. So disappointing to see. Maybe a bit of a hangover of the COVID restrictions and people being a bit wary of being out. But even still, you'd expect, at least 4.5, if not more, at Campbelltown Stadium on Friday, being that we're near the top and we're playing some excellent football against a team we should beat too. I expect really good things on Friday. And we do thank you for listening to the Bull Banter podcast. As always, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and the bell as well. And bullbanter.com for all Macarthur FC news.
Do us a favor, if you like the podcast, just recommend us to a friend. If you think they'll like it, just let them know.
Even if you don't think they'll like it.
Yeah, exactly. Just shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
Until they stop talking to you and cut off all form of contact.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you on Friday for a hopeful win over the Brisbane Roar. Take care.